This is the MacBook that you'll never buy, and it's hidden away inside of Apple's secret lab. Join me as we go inside one of the most secretive places on Earth and uncover the reason why Apple has been hiding this MacBook from the world. Welcome back to the channel. It's me here. And in today's video, we're going to be diving into what could very well be the most secretive place on planet Earth. We will be touring the facility where Apple works on their next-generation MacBooks and iPhones and discovering the strange rules that every employee must follow when they work inside. Because the products that are being developed in this location are so cutting-edge and so unreleased, employees are forced to keep their work completely under wraps, with some even going as far as to lie to their family members about their work. And while we're inside, we'll also be taking a look at the strange computer that no one can buy, the MacBook that you'll never see in stores. So if you want to learn more about the secretive world of Apple, its development labs, and how they come up with the next generation of technology, then stay tuned, because today we're going to find out exactly what they've been hiding from the world. In 2015, there was a big change coming to the Mac lineup. As consumers, we had become accustomed to the now old-school aluminum build quality MacBooks that had been around since 2006. This was until Apple decided to introduce the new MacBook, which featured an entirely new design. Gone were the boxes with sharp edges that many people liked, and instead we got rounded corners and a thinner, lighter body than ever before. And to this day, this new style of MacBook remains unchanged, which means that it's likely that we won't see any major overhaul to its design anytime soon. But despite this level of success with the current design, there were rumors circulating around the beginning of 2017 that Apple was already working on the next iteration of this MacBook design, with rumors suggesting that this next model would feature a Retina display upgrade. A Retina display, by the way, is a screen that has a high pixel density, meaning that it's so sharp that you can't distinguish individual pixels with your eyes, which creates an incredibly crisp image. It was reported that these upgraded displays would feature 4K resolution with increased brightness. They would also have higher contrast ratios and better color reproduction. All in all, it would make for an incredible display. But something else that was discovered during the development process of these new MacBook models was something that really surprised everyone. During testing phases, developers noticed that the keyboard of the 13-inch MacBook Pro began to show signs of serious wear after only 2 million keystrokes. To put that in perspective, the average person types about 100 million keystrokes per year, meaning that this keyboard only lasted roughly 10 years of regular use. Now, 10 years might sound like a long time, but considering that MacBooks typically last between 5 to 7 years, this meant that this keyboard would only last for about 2 full product life cycles. Not great when you consider that MacBooks have historically had extremely durable keyboards that often outlast the rest of the machine. Now, this wouldn't normally be a big deal, as keyboards can easily be replaced. However, in order to swap out a MacBook Pro keyboard, you first have to remove the entire top case of the MacBook. Something that not only requires special tools, but it's also not a cheap repair. In fact, replacing a MacBook Pro keyboard can cost just as much as upgrading the whole computer. Which raises the question, why did Apple create such a weak keyboard in the first place? Well, the answer is quite simple. This wasn't actually a mistake. In fact, it was done on purpose. You see, Apple's primary goal with this MacBook was to reduce the overall weight and thickness of the laptop as much as possible. This led them to craft a keyboard that used butterfly switch technology, which ended up being much thinner than the previous generation. But this also meant that the keys weren't as durable as they once were. In fact, many users complained about the keyboard's durability almost immediately after it was released. And although Apple did offer to replace the keyboard free of charge if it broke within the warranty period, they didn't offer any sort of extended warranty or plan to fix the problem. Which raises another question. Why didn't they just fix it? Well, the answer is that Apple simply didn't care. You see, the MacBook was never meant to be a long-term solution. It was always meant to be a transitional device, one that would lead Apple to develop a revolutionary new form factor. And while you may not know what that form factor is, what you probably do know is that Apple is currently working on a brand new kind of MacBook, one that would represent a massive shift in the way that we interact with our computers. That's right. Apple is hard at work on the folding MacBook. The current MacBooks that we use have a lot of limitations. For example, While the larger 16-inch MacBook Pro offers plenty of space for ports, adding additional RAM and storage space, the smaller 13-inch MacBook Pro does not. With technology becoming more advanced, there's less and less room to add things like improved cooling systems and bigger batteries. Not to mention that while the current keyboards and trackpads are comfortable to type on and navigate with, they take up a large amount of space inside of the MacBook. So if Apple wants to continue making smaller and thinner MacBooks, then they need to find a way to improve these key components. And that's where the folding MacBook comes in. By incorporating a folding display into the MacBook, Apple would be able to reduce the overall size of the laptop, while also giving users access to a larger screen. On top of that, the trackpad would no longer need to be built into the keyboard deck, and instead could potentially be placed below the display, which would allow for a larger surface area. And finally, a folding display would eliminate the need for an external monitor. Users who frequently use multiple displays would no longer need to bring around bulky adapters or docks. Instead, they could simply open up their folding MacBook and have a large display available to them wherever they went. In addition, this would also make it easier for those who travel frequently, as the MacBook could easily be folded up and stored in a bag or backpack. Apple is rumored to be developing a few different sizes of folding MacBooks, one with a 13-inch display and another with a 20-inch display. However, the MacBook with the 13-inch display is believed to be further along in development and could be released as soon as 2024. There have even been reports that Apple has already begun mass production of this new MacBook with early prototypes, featuring a dual-panel LCD display that can fold in half to create a 13-inch screen. Apple is also said to be experimenting with different hinge designs that would allow the display to rotate 360 degrees so that it can be used as a tablet. As impressive as these new folding MacBooks sound, however, there is one major issue that Apple still needs to figure out, and that's the price tag. With all of that said, though, it's clear that Apple is hard at work on a number of exciting new products, and we reassure that they continue to push the boundaries of what's possible with future MacBooks. Even if that means that we have to say goodbye to the traditional design that we've all grown accustomed to. Now we're curious, what do you think about the future of MacBooks? Would you buy a folding MacBook? Let us know in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.